Welcome to Project NextE90, Episode 3, the JB4 install and our initial runs. Now in our previous two episodes in the series, we got our Project NextE90 ready for the JB4 install by replacing the spark plugs, coils, charge pipe, and intakes. With those parts changed, we were running consistent 5.3 to 5.4 0 to 60 times, and a 13.6 to 13.7 quarter mile time, which sadly wasn't any better than our previous best before all of these changes. So it's time to finally add a mod that will make a noticeable change in performance, the JB4 itself. It will increase the boost levels of the stock maps so that we can get substantially more performance out of this N54 engine. Now in this episode, we will be installing the JB4 and doing some initial runs on two different maps to see if we can get into the low 13s. Now to start the installation of the JB4, we need to start by removing the AC cowl itself, if it's still present, by removing the 6 8mm bolts holding it down in these locations. We then remove both caps from the sides of the engine cowl itself, and we then need to remove the two 8mm screws that they uncover, as well as unplug both sensors on the left and right, and pull out the bar above the engine cover and unlatch the wiring harness that is behind it to complete our removal of the cowl. This gets us access to the box containing the ECU that is located in the rear passenger side of the engine bay. Now to open it, we need to slide the switches on the top of them from the locked to the unlocked positions, and then pull out on the black tabs on both sides to get the top of this ECU box off and to get the ECU exposed. We now slide the ECU out of this box and pull out on these clamps on the outside of both the left and right to release the 4 bundles of cables that are inside. We now need to make it so that the JB4 is in the path of those cables that we've just removed. We do this by plugging in the cables that we have removed from the ECU directly into the matching side on the JB4 harness. And then the JB4 harness gets plugged directly into the place that we removed the cables from on that bracket that you slid out from the ECU. Once all cables are back in place, slide both sides of the bracket back into the ECU to lock it into place, and then you can slide it back into the ECU container. We now need to supply power to the JB4 itself. We do this by tapping into the power in the bottom of this box here to complete our install. Before putting it all back together though, I did get an add-on Bluetooth module that will allow me to connect to this JB4 from my phone, and we want to make sure that gets hooked up as well. Therefore, I supply it with power from the JB4 using the wiretap connector, and then plug it directly into the JB4 so that I'll be able to wirelessly connect to the JB4 and get readings and logging data from it. I now just tuck the ECU and cables back into the box, making sure to seal and lock the ECU box back up so that no water gets inside, and then reinstall the engine cowl, and with it installed and the engine started, I can now connect to it from my phone using Bluetooth. Now if you don't happen to have the Bluetooth adapter to connect to it with your phone, you can also simply control which map it's on by using the steering wheel controls inside of the car. Now I first tried to use map 1, which is suggested for most applications and increases the boost level to 13 psi. Now the car had noticeably more power, and my 0 to 60 dropped to 5 seconds flat, and my quarter mile times dropped to 13.3 seconds. Now map 2 increases boost by another 1.5 psi, but we need to wait for our exhaust mods to try that one out. Now I tried switching to the JB4 map 5, which is supposed to be an auto-tuning map that will adjust boost based on the mods it senses, the weather conditions, octane levels, and other factors. Now after a few runs, I was able to get roughly another 10th taken off both the 0 to 60 and quarter mile times, but I still wasn't able to get into the 12s like I was hoping to be able to be. I can definitely tell at this point that a large part of what's holding me up is the slow shifts of my SMG transmission, and I'm hopeful that a transmission tune from XHP will get us into the high 4-second range for 0 to 60 and the 12-second quarter mile time that we've been targeting with this set of mods. I then intend on stopping with mods for a while to see how this car performs around the track compared with my S2000. Now I'll be doing at least 2 full-day events with this car on 2 different tracks to see how it does and to get some baselines. We will then start stage 2 and look to get into the mid-12s by using the JB4 to further turn up the boost levels when we have a downpipe, exhaust, and intercooler. Now this should hopefully get us into the mid-12s and complete our power mods for going around the track. We will then get back on the track and compare to our Stage 1 mods and exactly where it is we've seen gains. Now lastly, we turn our attention to the quarter mile one last time, and we will play with the fuel and octane levels to see how close to the 11s we can get with this platform without ruining its ability to be able to still be effective around the track. Join us for our next episode in the series when we do the XHP transmission flash tune and see if we can achieve our goals for this stage of mods. Now if you've enjoyed the content and this is your first visit to my channel, please click the subscribe button under the video and the bell icon next to it to be notified when my future videos in the series are released. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.